been about 3 months since we last planted our weeping willow cuttings, and let's see how things have turned out. As you can see in front of me, I have a potted weeping willow cutting in its own separate little pot. Um, I only have one weeping willow cutting in this pot, and I don't really have any others to show for it. And the reason being is that all the other ones have died. Unfortunately, I miscalculated how long the weeping willows needed to stay in the water before planting them. They had about 4 weeks in the water. Notice how this was probably, if you recall, the smallest of the 5 cuttings, which is probably why it survived. The other 4 cuttings were probably just a tad too large and needed more time. So I'm guessing maybe 6, 7 weeks in the water, and I only gave 4 weeks. But let's take a look at this plant, and as you can see, this plant is very nice. It's coming along very nicely. You see we have some great growth here. This is about 6, 7 inches worth of growth right here, another one, and another one over here. And when I took this plant out, as you can imagine, the roots were quite extensive. They weren't massive like a massive root ball, but they were very long. I would say about a good 6 inches worth of just straight roots. So I cut a little bit of those off, just a tiny bit, took maybe an inch off the end of it, and repotted it in this soil. And this is the same kind of soil that they were in before. And you might notice there's a little bit of green here. This is just some artificial moss, and that'll help keep some water, extra water in there. And what I'm doing is, for the time being, just keeping it outside in full sunlight, soaking it every day or so, checking to see if it needs water. And when it's really sunny out, I'll put it in a bucket of water and up to about an inch past the base, and I let it soak for a little bit. And that's what I've been doing with this plant. It's been in this pot for about a month now, and it's responded quite well. It's got some new growth. Matter of fact, its newest growth since being put in the pot is all closer towards the bottom of the tree. You'll see right here, this is all new. This is about 1 week's worth of growth, and if you can see over here, we have some new growth coming out as well. So this tree is responding very well and has new growth popping up really all over the place. So since 3 months ago, this particular cutting has done very well. Unfortunately, the other ones did not. They, when put in the soil, at first, all the cuttings were stunted. None of them really showed any signs of growth, and slowly they, one by one, completely died off. The foliage that we had on them completely fell off, until there was only a couple left, and this one slowly but surely pushed out some new growth finally, until I was sure that it was going to survive, and then the other ones remaining just slowly kind of died back. And when I pulled them out of the pots, their roots had completely dissipated. They had completely been destroyed. So this one, though, however, did survive and did push on, and we're going to closely monitor it now for the remainder of the growing season, and then I'm going to store it in the garage once fall starts to set in and it loses its leaves, and that's where it'll stay for the winter. And then we'll take it back out and put it back outside come springtime, when we're sure that the frost is, for the most part, over. And that's where we are right now. And as you can see, this looks very nice. You know, considering that we just took a cutting, stuck it in water, then potted it in soil and let it just do its own thing, this looks very nice. I'm very pleased with this. I mean, I might take this later on and wire it up so that we can get some more growth later on. We're going to want to probably prune this back eventually, but for the time being, this is very nice, and I'm very pleased with this cutting in particular. I'm glad at least one of them survived, so that this timeline wasn't all for naught. So I advise you to give this a try, and we'll be updating what this plant has to say as soon as we possibly can. You know, a couple of months from now, we'll show you what it looks like. And we'll see you then.